It's time for Bourbon with Friends, the bourbon podcast that never takes itself too seriously. Pull up a chair, grab a glass, and remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world. Here we go.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bourbon with Friends. Myself, Adrian, and Martin are here to talk about whiskeys from around the world and how a bourbon or whiskey with friends can change the world. How was your guys' weekend?
It's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good, man. How about you guys?
It was good.
Yeah.
I have no complaints. I did not have to work, and I did whatever I wanted. I got an ice maker.
We were just talking about how you have ice, and I was asking.
I know.
Make,
it's so corny. I know.
Does it make any kind of ice?
It makes two different sizes of what they call bullet ice, but it's better than an ice cube that's as big as your eyeball, you know, in your shaker. So.
Oh, so it's for like it's for gym stuff.
It's for what?
Is it like more like gym stuff? Like is like working out, like when you're doing like the
No,
mix?
it's for making cocktails.
Oh, so the complete opposite of what I just said.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Where did you get gym from?
Yeah, no, I don't need ice for the gym. I drink room temperature water. Just the same way I drink my whiskey.
Oh, there you go. Hey,
Yeah.
did you guys know this is the 50th episode we've done?
Is it really?
Huh.
No, I didn't know
I would
that.
think I should remember that, but no.
Yeah, this is episode number 50. So I don't know what that means.
50.
But, yeah, so this is the 50th thing that we've done, which is kind of crazy. I mean,
Does that mean I shouldn't be nervous when we start these things?
Probably not.
Because I'm still pretty nervous every time we do one.
Yeah. I think that just means you're excited.
Yeah, well, true. This has been I've really enjoyed spending time with you all and all of the people that we've been able to meet and the memories that we've created. It's been really great.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Like I said, Brian, we're almost at a year though, right? Like the year episodes.
We are at a year.
Yeah, so yeah, 50 episodes in a year is not bad. Today we actually get to switch it up a little bit though. Normally we, kind of just ask our questions and hang out and chat and bullshit. But today we get to be a little bit challenged in a way. We've actually talked about, and this I'm sure will get brought up at some point. We are very big fans of the blind challenge. We have a mutual friend, Germ Freedom Maltz, who conducts his own kind of blind challenge. There's other people who do blind challenges, but today we have Bobby DeMars of Blind Barrels here. We get to be a little challenge. She's gonna make us feel stupid, and we're like we don't know anything about whiskey.
Oh, we're gonna have a challenge, but first, can I start with a hot take right off the bat?
Hot take.
Fuck ice machines in
Damn.
general, because I just
Adrian.
Honestly, I've gone through 9 of them.
Oh,
okay. It's just they go out. They don't. I've had 2 now that lasted a week. I did all the things. I can't tell you how many ice machines, and I get the Samsung fridge. Oh, look at it! It's got the drawer that opens up into another drawer. It's amazing. But the freezer somehow gets dwarfed. And then, did you get an ice maker because your fridge stopped making ice?
No, my fridge never made ice. I got mine off of TikTok for less than $50. So if it takes a crap, then I'm not going to be out too much.
No, I'm just, that's just literally the bane of my existence has been ice makers.
I'm
Although
so
they
sorry
have a
to hear
new
that.
one that makes like have you seen it'll make like 207 hours of like the perfect sphere.
Yep.
That's
I
gotta get one of
ordered
those.
one of those fridges because my fridge is going out, unfortunately. But I've had it for 11 years.
Okay.
And if a fridge lasts that long, I'm happy. I'm just going to bring it down to the property and put some tannerite in it.
Blow that sucker up.
Yeah,
I've gone through it though. I don't know what it is. I feel like Samsung. It's like, and they'll put this little thing in there, the warranty of mercantability, and the guy that shows up, I can never tell if he's Russian or Ukrainian. Air conditioning, and the fridge guy is always like, "It's not the fridge problem. It is problem with," and I'm like, I don't know what. Just fix it, please. We can't fix it. It's work. No, you need.
Mine's a little portable deal. So if it breaks and I get, a couple months worth of ice out of it, it'll have been worth it.
I've had a $500 one. I've had a $200 one. I've had a $300. I'm literally had 9 of them, so I'm through it. I'm done with it now. I just borrow my sister's ice. I'm over
That's
it.
what I mean. I just don't even do ice. I just cut it off at the beginning. I just don't even use ice.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, just tepid.
Don't even care.
Everything's tepid.
Yeah, tepid water only. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't even
You guys,
refrigerate the milk.
you guys and your cold stuff, get out of here.
You don't even refrigerate that milk. You can leave it out. It was made that way.
They used to do it that way.
No.
Yeah, exactly. The Amish are fine still, I think.
They do have something called an ice box. Yes, they do.
They have ice boxes. They found out about ice. That's cool.
You guys run into some Amish out there, though. Martin,
in
you're in Indiana?
Yeah, in Indiana, yes. Mm-hmm.
We literally
I got passed by the Amish while I was getting a ticket, and I think I was in Woodville, Indiana. It was like right outside of French Lick. We're on our way to meet with Al Bishop, and we just done chugs with what's his face, the influencer, like at 10 in the morning. And the car smelled like booze. We had a designated driver, but we had a red Tesla. They put us in a can. Don't pick the mystery box like Tom Brady says when you're getting a rental car. Oh, just click the mystery box. And then they gave us a cherry candy red Tesla, which is fine. But we were driving 1,600 miles, so we had to charge it. And I'm like in basically enemy territory. People don't want to see your Tesla out here. And we were just getting like
not in French Lick.
Nowhere, dude.
I would say,
most of southern Indiana, to be fair. So no, honestly, there's a place that my parents used to take us to, or like back in the day, called Amish Acres, and it's this like you know what I'm talking about. And it's like, but like they've really taken advantage of everybody. They like when some shows like before that they're just like this, and then when you're coming, they're just like really churning butter. They marketed everything, like everything that they do, you could buy. So I don't know how much they're sticking to the original. And
then you're like, oh wait, look at that jet up there, and they're like, what's a jet? And then they ask like,
they have phones. Don't let them fool you. They got phones. Don't let them fool you.
They pull out an iPad.
Trust me. Just trust me on that one.
No touch checkout. Well, this girl's pigtails were like flying through, like it was like some at a little house on the prairie, like where I'm like, you got a 3-year-old on this little Amish thing. They're going 50, and she's not buckled at all. And we're getting a ticket for going 30 and a 25. I'm like, we're getting a Tesla ticket, and we did. We got a Tesla ticket, and we got breathalyzed.
Very specific one.
All of you got breathalyzed?
No, the driver did.
Oh, okay. I was like, that's impressive. If he just was like, oh, you want to see how high your BAC is really quick?
Welcome to Indiana. Welcome to Indiana, sir. Welcome to Indiana. This is our life here.
So anyways, all three of you guys got Blind Barrel's kit in front of you, and we're going to play a game. And we now have, so it's not built into your kit now, but if you can see on the bottles, you can see there's an insert there. There's a QR code that's now on the bottles and then not just on the insert. And so that takes you to a reveal page. And so if you ever use that at some point, that reveal page will be our older page. So our new one takes you to a game. So if you guys become a Blind Barrels member, you will guess the age, the proof, and the type of whiskey. And you'll actually get a score that tells you how accurate your palate is. And you don't have to get like the proof on the nose, but if you get close, you'll get points, so. But if it's a bourbon, is it a rye? Is it a wheat? Is it a single malt? Cool. Our current kit, we have a rice whiskey in there, which is amazing.
So JT Malik?
Maybe.
We know another one.
There's only one distillery making rice whiskey out here. I just ruined.
There are others.
There's a few others, but there's not a ton.
So will we be doing, in the box, if you're looking at the box, what are you saying? 1 to 4, left or right?
A, B, C, D. You need to get the reading glasses on, girl.
Yeah. It's not that
but go left or right.
Okay.
No, but don't. Hey, I'm gonna be there with you at when the reading goes fast, right? When you're long, what is it called? Not short-sighted, far-sighted, right? You're far-sighted. You can't see what's in front of you.
Yeah.
Well,
I just can't.
I want to get some of those Boss like De Niro reading glasses. You know what I mean? I want to like I might just call a hit in on you at any point.
You're just always like this.
All right, Bobby, I'm going to send you those now. I think I have some from Halloween like 10 years ago.
Yeah, like maybe I want to fly my house with balloons kind of glasses. You know what I mean?
Yeah. good up reference. I've been sitting here. I'm like, I haven't had my daily up reference.
Yeah, maybe my wife and I we lost a baby, couldn't have kids anymore, and then I lost her, and then I became angry, and then whatever. I want those kind of glasses.
You're angry?
It's the movie Up.
This is great. All right. Adrian, I know there's one question you want to ask Bobby first before we get into sample.
Yes. So as we're getting into the sample A, nosing and all of that, Bobby, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background, and how we got going with Blind Barrels. How did this whole thing? How was it born?
So this was a COVID baby. So my backdrop, I went to USC on a football scholarship. I was in the business scholars program there. I was the first player to get in the film school there. So when I got out, I started making documentaries and really a screenwriter by trade to kind of pay bills while you're chasing those dreams. I started an education company. We worked with about 200 foster kids twice a week. Then got into test prep and mindfulness and partnered with a neuroscientist and did neurofeedback. Then made documentaries while I was doing all that. So just kind of been an entrepreneur of various sorts the last 25 years. And the last documentary I made took on the NCAA. So I figured I'd go with something that I knew and really hit on the academic integrity. It's called The Business of Amateurs. Hit on the injury side and CTE and then the money side. So I'm then on the oversight committee for the nonprofit that created all the NIL laws. So we used 5 minutes of that film to play for the state Senate hearings and to play for the Supreme Court, and played a role in helping get NIL passed for these college athletes that couldn't trade on their value. And then COVID hit, and everything died. Film projects died, TV pilots died. Nobody was doing test prep, and you can only paint so many accent walls and install so many bidets. And I'm like, we got 5 bidets, baby. I don't even know. I'm pretty sure we're all very clean now.
That also happened in some places here in Indiana. I know people who have done that exact same thing. So it must have been a COVID thing.
Well, you couldn't get
that
toilet
also
paper,
must have
right?
been a COVID thing.
Yeah, that was a COVID thing, and I never went back. It was a good move. My buddy was doing blinds during COVID to just connect us while we were disconnected and quarantining and all that. And I'd done it with wine. I'd never done it with whiskey. And I was like, this is badass. I didn't realize just how nuanced whiskey was. I was more of a drinker than a taster. And I'm like, nobody's ever done this. Nobody's ever done started a company that was making blind tastings before. And because we're double blind. So double blind, single blind means, hey, you know what they are. You just don't know the order. I'm not really a big fan of that because it's like, I just want to look once I know what they are. But not knowing anything from the get-go is a double blind. And I quickly figured out, yes, the alcohol 3-tier system is very complicated. And we can't just buy a bunch of booze and pour it into bottles and send them out to people. It doesn't work that way. So there's a lot of steps and a lot of legal stuff and a lot of partnerships that, came into play. So I basically just kept calling ABC attorneys until I figured out how to do it. And then we came up with a better way to do it. Because you can call an attorney and get an hour-long consultation for free. You can just keep, so, hey, there's a little live pro tip for you. So I called 17 ABC attorneys and did 3 hour-long consultations. And then I figured out how to do it. And then we spent all of 2021 just getting the partnerships in place, creating the branding. That's a custom kit. That's custom glass. That's custom caps, building the website. You really kind of, I wasn't in the alcohol space. I wasn't even in the product manufacturing space. So all of it there was a learning curve for all of it. And then we launched in the early part of 2022, had a couple hundred members and just kind of kept growing, building a loyal whiskey community, every quarter. And now we've got, almost 4,000 members in 44 states.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
I love it. Yeah. Yeah. It's, I'm like, when I first got in, I've been doing whiskey. I think we've all been doing it for quite a while, but I know mine sort of started back in at least being obsessive with it. You know what I mean? Like in this way, where I have that shit behind me. But
yeah, you got the floor whiskey now.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like once you get to that
whiskey.
point, but you get, it's about 2018. And I remember when I first, I'd always see things for and I'm not throwing in these companies on the bus. There's their place, but companies like Flavier and things like that. And I was interested because it was like that, but I had a whole bunch of whiskey friends you're going to get stuff that you can probably find pretty easily. He's like, you're already going to find that kind of thing. So, I so wish something like this would have existed when I first started. I think this would have been such a great way to take away
He sometimes cuts out.
Yeah.
I sometimes
Yeah, did I glitch out? I think we're all kind of glitching right now.
Yeah, you did. So let's get into this sample A, Bobby.
So sample A, give it a try. Go through the stages, get the nosing and the flavors. And Martin, kind of speak to your point though. I was with Flaviar for a spell, and everything that was in the samples was stuff that I could get. And then when they sold me a bottle, or part of the thing was you could get a bottle, and the bottle was never the things that I just had. So that was a disconnect. And then if I wanted to buy a bottle, there was a big markup on it, versus what it would be for me to get it online or for me to buy it somewhere. So we made sure that everything that we did was the opposite of that. In that, everything that we feature is small American craft distilleries. Something in this lineup that you guys have right now, I bet there's one or two in this lineup that you've never heard of. And one only existed in its native state, and our members got it 7 months before it even came out. So they got special access to something. They're also getting prices. There's a bottle in here that went for $100 in the state it was in, and our members got it for $77. So we don't really do this big markup. We've had hazmat that we've had $250 hazmat bottles that we sold for $130. We had the 10-year Doc Holiday in the lineup recently. I don't know if you've seen the Doc Holiday series that World Whiskey Society's done. So they're sourcing, right? But the 10-year was like this other animal. It wasn't MGP. It wasn't Dickel. It wasn't any of the standard commercial
Isn't that
sources.
one you love, Brian?
Yeah, no, I have all of the collection besides the one that comes in the fucking.
Okay, I was like, isn't that like one of your favorites?
Yeah, it is.
So if you have the 10-year, and it's not the one with the guns, and you got it, before last summer.
Yep, I did.
It's this guy. He was a whiskey outlaw.
Yeah.
It's maybe the best whiskey I've ever had. Carlos Lavelle out of Georgia.
Yes, that's what I've been saying.
Fucking unbelievable.
Did I just say?
When did you get that bottle?
March or April of last year.
Dude, you got in. So that bottle's we sold it out of existence. And in fact, if you do find that 10-year, people are selling it for like $500 now.
What?
So when I put it in my bowl, we don't pick brands, we pick whiskey, right? So we get 30 bottles sent to us every month, and I create blinds for my guys. And my guys were like, "Are you fucking with us, Bobby? Did you put William LaRue Weller like in a blind?" Because I do that with. Sometimes I'll put their favorite shit in a lineup just to make them hate it. I want to see if they take a shit on like their favorite. Oh, I love Four Roses. Oh, you hated Sample B. That's your favorite. And that's your recipe. That's your Four Roses recipe. And you hated it. So I always try to get them to turn on them. But I do that. And they thought it was it tasted like a $1,500 like high proof rich. And those barrels that were in Georgia, first of all, this guy was making whiskey his whole life, right? His daughter convinced him to go legit. And he was really just making a moonshine, not aging it and then aging it 6 months. Well, he dies 3 years in. And all these barrels that were going to age 6 months sat there for like 5 years. And the family offloaded it. Bardstown put it in their Explored series. The rest ended up in Texas for like 5 years.
Yeah.
And so that Texas heat was like 10. So then when they brought it back to Georgia, it was like basically like tasted like it was like, a 15-year whiskey. But it says 10-year on it. And it's unbelievable.
So they did that the same thing with the 8-year too. So the 8-year, so if you got the early 8-year, it was the same as the 10-year.
And they held back a couple barrels to get to 12. And I'm going to see if I can talk them into let me have a whole barrel of it.
If you do that, let me know how much I need to do whatever so I can. Because
it's so.
I have the 12,
how good it is.
But if I can get one from you and figure out what to do, if I have to fly out to LA right after I have surgery here in May, I don't care. I'll do whatever I need to.
I think the Carlos Seville barrels will be 12 years in, I think April, early next year. So I'm going to do whatever I got to do. I'm going to be visiting them. We're going to be doing a trip from Georgia, North Carolina this fall. So I'm going to go see if I can. We actually made a coffee. We took the barrel that had it and we paired a coffee bean with it, and we made some bourbon whiskey that's on our site now. It's fucking awesome.
All right, sir. I will be.
I'll send you a bag of that, Brian. I'll send you a bag.
I was gonna say I'll buy the shit out of it. Doesn't matter to me. So, Martin, what are you getting out of this sample A? What about you, Adrian?
Yeah. I got notes here.
Same. I've been writing them down and talking at the same time.
Yep. I think it's a bourbon.
I didn't catch if you said there were single malts in these.
Yeah. So our rules are it has to be American. It has to be craft. If you're sourcing like we don't do white label situations. So if you're sourcing and then you're just bottling and you're not blending and you're not finishing, then it's not really interesting enough. The only time we've done that was the Doc Holliday bottle, and technically, that fell under a completely different rule because this guy was a craft whiskey OG that nobody really knew about. So I made them put a neck tag of his story on the bottle. So people really knew that. Yeah. So you see, Joe's already guessing in the private chat. He's guessing the type of whiskey. He's guessing the proof. He's even taking a shot and shooting like what the brand he thinks it is. Yeah. That's kind of a dope move.
Yeah, he's wild.
And then take a shot at the age as well. So age, proof, and type of whiskey.
Yeah. I have my guesses wrote down. Yeah. So whatever Adrian, you guys say.
Adrian, you go first, then Brian, then I'll go.
Okay.
I think it's a bourbon. And I said it was a 6-year. I said it was a 96 proof.
Okay. I'm gonna agree with the bourbon. And I wrote in between 94 to 96. So I guess we'll put 95 there. And then I put between a 4 and a 5 year on this.
Okay.
I think it's a high corn, possibly wheated.
Okay.
I also thought that. Okay. You want to know what I really thought? I'll let Martin say what he's going to say.
So for me, definitely a bourbon. I put 5 to 6 years. If I have to commit, I'll commit to 5. I'm saying that it's 46%, so 92. New oak for the. I don't know if you care about that, but it's definitely new oak. I don't think there's any finishing on this, and it's not sure. It's. I just put I put Pacific Northwest with a question mark.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I could like. That's it's definitely not Kentucky for sure.
No,
Martin, maybe sourced.
I think you're right. It is Pacific Northwest.
It reminds me of something, so that's why I'm going with this. And then
it reminded me of something too, but
yeah, I'm and the sourcing maybe, but I doubt it. Yeah, I doubt
Brian,
it.
Are you going with the 4 or 5 year? You said between 4 and 5. Which one are you going to go with?
Fuck it. Everybody else said a different number. I'll go with 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I just put some like tasting notes just because I just wanted to jot some down. Definitely very cereal, yeasty, roasted walnuts, burnt caramel, leather, grass, burnt rubber. Those are kind of some of the ones.
Yeah, I put green apple, toffee, butterscotch, a little bit of like it's that honey wheat Cheerios on the tongue is what I was getting.
It reminds me of Corbin Cash.
I
love Corbin Cash. They were in our first lineup. We did their bourbon, and he's got some tenure right now that's out.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's going to be stellar because he just started making whiskey at that time. So sometimes you get that old stuff, but it's still and like, he's getting his whiskey legs, Yeah, we got to meet David, and he named it Corbin Cash because his wife's water broke the same day that his still produced whiskey for the first time. And his last name is Souza. He's from Portuguese immigrants' son, and so it sounds like a tequila. It sounds like Souza, and his son, he named him Corbin Cash, and so he named the distillery after his son, which is pretty.
That's awesome.
Oh, that's pretty awesome. That is cool. That's a great story.
I know. Like
I got a very heirloomy kind of vibe to this, like heirloom corn, like I don't know. It just tasted very much. Huh?
I could see that.
Yeah, I got it very much like we had the Bloody Butcher corn.
Jetpot from Jetpot Creek.
Yeah, that made me think of that, but not necessarily that particular pour that I had, but just that heirloom quality to the whiskey.
Yeah. Kind of like sea salt, right? Has
that like
I didn't put any notes. I'm not good at
I couldn't figure it out. I'm like,
whatever it is good as hell.
Well, you guys are so good. It makes me think you're cheating. That's how fucking good you guys are right now. I'm not saying you're cheating. I'm saying you guys are
these two are incredible at tasting notes. They're very good. They are very, very, very good at it.
Probably the best I've for right off the bat. Like, first of all, so all of you were right in the wheelhouse of proof. So it was 95 proof. So Brian, you got that.
Nice.
It's a bourbon. You all three got that. And you all got really close to the age statement. The age is 4 years. So Brian, you banged on all three of them.
I had 4
Well, I
and
said
I changed
between
it.
4 and 5, so I was throwing a Hail Mary between those two. I didn't
Martin
know.
picked up on Pacific Northwest. This is in Puget Sound, Washington.
Oh shit!
And you guys
Good
are
job,
like
Martin.
some of the notes that like our aroma notes. We have green apple, butterscotch, fresh grains, saltwater taffy. The tasty notes, honey wheat bread. That's kind of some of those cereal notes. The sea salted caramel.
Yeah.
Green apple pie, brown sugar, and the finish. Hint of toasted oak.
Are they not
lingers.
ridiculous? They're ridiculous when it comes to notes, aren't they?
I mean,
They're incredible.
Yeah,
I just
like you're
had written down. So
They're so good at it.
Yeah, like that's what I mean. So what's really cool about this whiskey? So this is Chambers Bay. Have you guys ever heard of Chambers Bay?
no.
So they're in Puget Sound, and so they have their rick house is on a boathouse. So like Jefferson's Ocean,
Kinda like
we're just gonna we're gonna travel and put it in the sea
That's
salt,
cool.
and it's gimmicky. But I always wonder how different their barrels are. Like if you're at the edge and it's sloshing around more versus if you're in the middle, and I wonder what different character kind of comes through.
But it's so cool because like whenever like people talk about influence of the environment, and obviously like with a lot of Scottish distilleries, you have like the coastal distillers, and you can taste it, and that's so cool that like, and that's why I said
Washington,
Westland. Like I'm a fan of all these Pacific Northwest, distilleries. They've got that kind of, it's that salinity. It's coastal. I love it.
Yeah, Joe guessed in the thing. He guessed Westland. So he was maybe getting those vibes from it. He got the proof right on the button, and he was one off by the year. He said 3. He said single malt. And the thing is, this is kind of, for craft, this is a touch funky. There's a little bit of funk into it. The one thing that we didn't want to do when we create lineups, sometimes the big debate that we have isn't just what we're putting in the lineups, but what order do we put it in?
Yeah,
right.
We want everything to shine,
Absolutely.
right? Like we want everything to kind of pop, and we want it to be an experience so that it's not just a bunch of like brown sugar, vanilla, like caramel bourbons in a row.
Yeah.
We want it to have that diversity. So this is an interesting lineup. But I'm glad you guys like that first one. Yeah, we're big fans of Chambers Bay.
That's really good. I love that.
And their stuff's getting older too, so it's getting even better.
Yeah,
but I mean, you guys all scored points that round, and you guys, I mean, Adrian, you were 1 point off on the proof. You guys were all within the wheelhouse
I had
of the
a 4,
age. So
and I literally crossed it out. I'm so mad at myself.
Well,
you could have taken the average of the two. Yeah,
I'm just glad I knew it was a bourbon. That is huge for me. So I'm happy.
Yeah, some of those cereal notes though almost make you think it's a rye. I'm trying to see what the mash bill. The mash bill on this one was 70, 20, 10, and the 20 is it's wheat, so it's a wheated bourbon. And 10% malted barley, soft white wheat.
I can see where being an ASM, an American single malt. I definitely can.
Yes, I can too, because that's why I asked the question. I was like, is this an option? Because I did not think for a second that it was a rye, not for 1 second. I love ryes.
That 10% malted barley definitely influences a little bit more. Usually you're looking at 2 to 5 in most whiskeys.
Yeah, I figured this was a higher wheated and a higher corn content, and that barley had to have been a little bit higher. So I'm not really sure what it was, but I'm not going to even look until the end because that's just going to complicate things. I'm going to have to take my glasses on and off to read it anyways. I have to pull up the questions to read the next one. So
we sound like we're fucking 90. Like we're all just like, I can't say.
Not exactly young, so what are you going to do?
I know you already talked about the ins and outs of the experiences that you had to call attorneys and you use the right way to do it and using that free time to find the industries and ins and outs. But what are like the 3 challenges that you had with this that you knew getting into blind barrels would be most complicated or most rewarding?
Great question. Some of the challenges, there's the things that we would foresee, which is like, I'm not in the alcohol space. And then also there's rules for how you can sell alcohol, right? Like, it isn't just, you can't show people drinking. There's a lot of restrictions in how you do ads. There's this thing called Discus, which is a set of rules that it's funny. They want you to follow them, but some of them aren't required. And so there's a lot of like, you can really get into the weeds with some of those things. And I think the thing for us that was difficult that we've, I think, worked through now is, to put, my back a little bit. We did something innovative, right? We did something that someone hasn't done before. And the problem with that is there's a learning curve to that. So there's this, wait, what is this? And how does it work? And we don't have people with our kits out explaining what it is. And the site that we had, I don't think it answered that confusion. And we kept adjusting the site and adjusting the site and adjusting the site. And finally, this last year, we hired a company called Prayella who came in and somehow simplified our site by also kind of answering those confusion pain points that we had. Then there's the unforeseen. I'd say the second thing in terms of the biggest problem was enclosures. Enclosures are like a big problem in the industry that a lot of people don't know. And do you go with the cork enclosure? Do you go with the twist top? Do you go with this? So you can see if you look at the cap, if you look at our caps, you see there's a metal finish on this cap. And on the inside, it's plastic. Right?
Yeah.
And so we had to make caps. So you don't see a lot of glass bottles in the 50 ml space. It was really important. I mean, you can tell our box is like really high end, right? Like everything that we wanted out of this experience, we wanted people to associate these small brands with top shelf. Yes, there's a lot of garbage crap. We kissed a lot of frogs. I will say that. Okay. Like not everybody sends us bottles do we put in the lineup. But yeah, everything is custom. I mean, just making a custom box like that, I called every vendor in the country until I could get that landed for under $3.
There's a lot of them too.
Under $3?
Under $3, completely custom, soft touch, magnet with the ribbon pull, with the gold leaf of the logo and all that, right?
It all matters. It all matters.
It really
does, right? And that's the thing. Yep. You just throw this into a shitty corrugated box, then all of a sudden there's this association, and now you have low expectations. And we want people to have high expectations because we think these are all badass whiskey with really killer stories. So like originally our caps were just plastic, and I had a buddy who we actually did the coffee with, Doc Holliday. He has a brand called Coffee Love, and he was really helpful in helping us with figuring out, the right bottling equipment and labeling equipment because he had square bottles too. And he's like, everything about your stuff is awesome, but your caps look stupid. We had this plastic cap on there. And, there's a company and it's like 14 cents a cap, which is like 5 times what it costs to just get the cap. You know what I mean? It's like basically costs more than our glass bottles, which are, really heavy, to put this metal finish on it. And I was like, 4 times 14, like 56. I'm going to pay for shipping. So 60. I'm doing the math, right? And I'm like, fuck, he just caught me on a day. I'm like, let's do it. And what happened is, plastic is malleable and glass isn't. So when you put tension, when you put something plastic on something rigid like that, what happens over time is the tension loosens. And if you get into a temperature, alcohol is high proof, right? So all of a sudden you get into somewhere that's even not that hot. You ever leave the whiskey in your car and it's not even that hot, and somehow the top blows off, like it's sensitive. So and our bottles lay flat. So our first insert was not named anything. Our first 3 kits, we didn't name them. We didn't name the release or anything. And it just said, you smell that? That's the smell of American craft whiskey. We sprinkled a little in the box for you because some of the bottles were leaking a little bit, and we really didn't know how to, without reinventing everything, because we're getting ready to launch, we didn't know how to solve that problem other than, okay, a little whiskey might leak out, but it might be okay because it's not pouring out, and we have to figure that out. The metal finish kept the plastic from shifting.
Nice. That's a good
So
thing.
it was a problem that we got lucky at solving. And then the third thing that's the most rewarding thing is we get to showcase and support these small American businesses. We don't take marketing fees. We don't charge them to be in the kit. The whiskey gets paid for. We don't say, give us the whiskey for free. We don't negotiate their wholesale price down. We want this to be symbiotic. We want it to be a win-win. And so we've had now 51, because we had a repeat distillery in this last one, 51 distilleries in our 13 releases, and we're friends with all of them. And it's really cool because like something will come out, or a batch of something will come out, and I don't get to be like, isn't this cool? I get to like call up the distiller or the owner and just be like, dude, this is awesome. And so we've made all these friends, and that's probably the most fulfilling thing, is knowing that we get to give craft a chance. Distribution is really puts us like a stronghold on who gets shelf space.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Corbin Cash. I'll tell you what, nobody was talking about Corbin Cash when they were in our lineup 3 years ago at all. And and I'm not saying they are because they were in our lineup, because we didn't have any members then really, but it's taken them a while to kind of build that audience. And our fulfillment partner was actually played a big role in getting their bottles out. So we did play a role behind the scenes in helping them get wider distribution outside their state, but they were rock stars in 30 miles, and then nobody heard about them. It just dropped off.
And I think that's such a cool model. And I mean, like, that's what, I mean, you're right. I think it takes, well, I mean, like, it takes, I mean, and I hate to say it like that, but yeah, we've been trying to shine a light more on craft. But then there's companies craft. Like Lost Lantern. I mean, that's how I found out about Corbin Cash, was through Lost Lantern.
Lost Lantern is awesome.
And it's just because they're doing something similar. They're shining a light on American, craft distillers who are people may not have access to. So, that's a really cool thing to do. So that's why I'm loving the concept. Well, I've been writing it down in the background. I don't know if we want to try this sample B.
I just jumped in.
Okay,
you're already jumping in.
All right, we'll talk, and then we'll give you guys some. I wrote everything down so far. I think I got everything.
Yeah, I was going through my nose and my tasting notes, and I think I have. Good. I think I know what it is. Just like generalization.
I don't know what it is. I'm not even attempt. I don't do good at distillery guesses.
Well, I'm not going to do a distillery guess. I'm going to guess a region just because it tastes like this region, or even this state.
For sure.
You guys are both in Indiana, Adrian and Martin, and then where are you, Brian?
Colorado.
Okay. So we've had more brands in what part of Colorado?
Vail.
Oh, so 10th Mountain, right? So Ryan over there, Ryan Thompson.
I'm the director.
Oh, well, you guys were in our first lineup, dude.
Oh, I know.
You guys were in our very first motherfucking lineup.
That's cool.
Ryan was cool as hell. You guys were sample A in our first ever lineup.
I love that.
The bourbon or the rye?
It was our bourbon.
Was it the bourbon? That's cool.
Okay.
And that was only 1 year.
Oh, that's bad. Yeah, I had one of those. I picked up one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we only had 200 members, so it was just one of those things, right?
Well,
honestly, at first,
change it out now, or we can send you our ASM, and that's
or the rye,
our rye or ASM is killing it right now.
Yeah, everything in that first lineup. So in that first lineup, it was you guys, it was Corbin Cash, and it was Middle West Pumpernickel Rye. And so we've talked about bringing back brands from our first two kits and really trying to, because we didn't have a lot of people. And so it's not like if we bring something back, we're going to bring a different SKU, right? So it would technically still be different. But yeah, we want to definitely, bring you guys back in the lineup. And we've got a restaurant model we're going to be starting. So we should definitely jump off and talk about it. I can't give away the secret sauce of that, but it's going to be bigger than anything that we're doing.
Damn.
And it's going to be,
but I'm interested.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be great if, we could have a blind tasting of all 10th Mountain products at a restaurant at 200 plus restaurants throughout for a whole month?
I'm not saying yes, it would. That'd be wonderful. Let's talk about that offline, like you said.
Yeah. No, we will. So it's once again, I had to figure out why nobody did that. And then I figured that out really quickly. And then luckily we solved it, but
yeah, I was looking into that as well. So I would love to learn the logistics and how you did that.
Yeah. The restaurant model is totally different.
Yeah.
But it's and the upside for the distilleries is massive. So it's going to be fun.
Well, yeah,
but we've had more Colorado brands than any. I think California, Colorado, and Colorado for being, a fourth the size of California population.
Right.
Well, kind of. I mean, we took half of your population recently.
That is true.
Yeah, everybody went to. Hey, but dude, if I were to leave, what am I going to go to Austin? Or am I going to go Idaho to Colorado? I'd go to Colorado. I love Colorado.
Yeah, Colorado is good.
Well, come up. We'll give you the second part of the distillery right next to it, and we could just do Blind Barrels and 10th Mountain together.
There you go.
Yeah.
Just tackle the whole thing.
All right. Y'all ready?
I think I have rough guesses on this one.
Mine are rough too. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, go first. Rough it up.
Huh?
Said rough it up.
I know. I just don't want your guys' guesses too. I don't want people to think I guessed off what you guessed. I'm gonna say this one is also a bourbon. I said 114 for the proof, and I said it was a 4-year. It's got like this, I don't know. I've tasted something like this before. I want to say like a Stranahan's is what this made me think of that I've tried the bourbon. But I don't know. Obviously, I'm not as good at this as these gentlemen are. So,
well, you're pretty damn good. So I wouldn't sell yourself short because
okay. Well, I appreciate that. I appreciate that, sir.
Yeah. So no, I mean, look, the reality is I never get to do blinds anymore because I know what's in the lineup. But I set up my guys do blinds. They do like 50 blinds a month. They're getting them left and right, and I never get to do them. I'm on a radio show now every week where it's called Four Whiskeys, where we do blinds, and it's dope because I get to finally do blinds again.
That's
and
awesome.
Sometimes, man, I'm so in fuego, like with how on I am on pulling out all these things, and then sometimes
I love that word you used, in fuego. I love that.
In fuego. Well, on the West Coast we have Hispanics,
they have lingo.
and so we have to learn how to.
Listen, there are Hispanics in the Midwest.
You guys have them?
So you know. Yes.
We don't. No.
Yes, we do.
It's sponsored by Canceled.
Listen. I love culture, and I love all the different.
I love that. I love that
It's,
rebound. That's so good.
I'm serious.
So I have the best. So anytime, so you guys ever go to Mexico? I'm telling you, this crushes. This is like a joke that translates better in Spanish. So there's always like a lime somewhere, right? And you take a towel and you say, "I'm going to turn this lime." And the English version is, "I'm going to turn this lime into a peach," or this other thing into a peach. But you say, "Voy a cambiar este limón a alguna muy linda." I'm going to turn this lime into something very beautiful, and then I make them grab it with their hand under the towel, and I go, "Graba con tu mano, con más fuerte," and then they grab it, and I'm like, "Más fuerte," they grab it, and then I start twisting the towel, and I twist the towel, and I twist the towel, and it starts making this big shaft, and then I hold it up to my groin, I go, "Ah, que linda, ain't that a beauty?" And it looks like they're just holding a big giant penis, but and then the English version is you go, "Ain't that a peach?" when they're holding the end of your big dong. But it crushes. It just yeah.
Well, Joe's laughing, so I think it works. So like Joe's it worked.
There you go. I got Joe to crack. That's all.
You got Joe.
All right, guys. I want to know what you think. I want to hear your thoughts.
All right.
Am I going, Martin, or you?
I can go. I can go this.
Yeah, I'm gonna write down a few more notes.
Okay, cool. Obviously bourbon. I would say
okay.
Yeah, 100. There's no way.
I'm just kidding. I'm giving you a hard time. You know I love you. You know I love you.
I was stuck. At first, I was really thinking it. I was 100% thinking that it was 100, but there's a tiny bit of a bite, so I wanted to push it into like 52, but I don't want to do that. So I think I'll stick with 50. So obviously a bottled and bond. New oak. I know we're not really guessing that, but again, new oak. It's not Kentucky again. I put Midwest with a question mark. Hazelnut, herbal tea, corn, burnt orange peel, cherry, peach, honey, and chocolate is what I wrote down for tasting notes.
And what'd you get on the age?
Oh, sorry. What did I put? I put 4 to 5. I'll commit to 5.
Okay. You and Joe had the exact same everything, by the way.
Did we?
In the chat. Yeah, he put bourbon 5-year 100 proof.
Really?
Oh, we have a chat.
Oh, I didn't even see that until just now. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't like this because I put bourbon 100 proof. I put 4.5 year because I really wasn't sure because it's between that 4 and that 5 year.
You're loud.
I can't tell.
You're loud.
This is. I'm gonna say it's from Illinois. It tastes right from your guys' state.
My state.
Nose. I put
not
super rich,
state either.
jasmine tea, stone.
Close, I
oak.
guess.
Yeah, Illinois. Where you guys?
No, it's not.
Same area.
I'm a Hoosier.
I mean, I am pretty close to Illinois.
Yeah, Martin is 30 minutes away.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm not. Okay.
I'm gonna make Seabass, who's the guy that does all my tasting notes and the copy reveal that you guys will see afterwards. I'm gonna make him watch this show because he's gonna be blown away at how good you guys are at the tasting notes.
They're so good at it. I make them do it every time because they're saying I'll read off the distillery's website and they get it every time. It's magical.
I even put a pear pecan pie in this. Is that even fucking accurate? Even in some way with like mixtures of
our
like
tasting notes have pear drops.
Okay.
Yeah. So you know,
God, we have
very
more
few
samples to go.
You said something though. What did you say, Adrian? What was the tasting note that you picked up on? Did you say hazelnut?
I did not give a tasting note because I'm not very good at that. But to me, it had that very much like. So I'm going to be real with you. I like what I like. Okay. And I'm not saying these are bad, but I know when it's.
Be honest, not everybody.
I know when it's something else. than what I normally drink, right? So these it tasted very weedy, very malty to me. So that's basically how I felt about this one. It has a very wheat/malt feel.
I agree with that.
There's only 2 distilleries I can think of that are true whiskey farmers in that they grow their own grain. A lot of people source locally, right? And they're,
Yes.
The élevage, and like all the different things that you try to get into the territory. And
terroir.
And this is
that's a word for you.
The terroir. The terroir. Yeah.
I hate that word, just for the record.
I just don't like the way it's spelled. But yeah.
No.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry to interrupt.
These guys are seed engineers. So a lot of people think Frey Ranch when they think of people that are growing their own grain and making their own thing. So Frey Ranch is doing that out of Fallon, Nevada. These guys are out of Illinois, Brian. Can you think of the seed engineers out of Illinois?
Shit.
These guys.
I don't even know any outside of Koval. I don't know anybody.
What the fuck is that name?
They're using genetics to like.
FBW is a distillery there.
Acres.
It is Acres. It's
Whiskey Acres.
Whiskey Acres. I've had their blue corn.
Never had that.
Their blue corn is so bomb. But
their blue corn is so good.
Dude, their Bloody Butcher. I tried so hard to get the Bloody Butcher in the lineup, but it was a special release and we couldn't do it and whatever. And this is their bottled and bond. This is their 100 proof bourbon.
Okay.
It's 5 years. So Martin and Joe got it, all of them on the nose. You were off by half a year, Brian, technically.
100 proof.
And you were a little high in proof, Adrian. But yeah, the tasting notes that we have on this. So
it's spicy, right?
I mean, this was the first time we had somebody. They were only distributed in Nebraska and Illinois when they were in our lineup, and one of our members in Nebraska recommended them, and this was the first member recommendation. This September, all the ones in the lineup are going to be from member recommendations, so we're going to be doing that kind of theme throughout the year. Every September, I think. Aroma notes, rich nose, vanilla, herbal tea. You guys picked up on that. Lemongrass, a touch of cinnamon and nutty oak, graham crackers on the nose. Tasty notes, sweet caramel corn, grassy, pear drops, raw hazelnuts, dark wood, lightly toasted coconut, apple cider donuts, ripe apples straight from the orchard. Butterscotch.
Martin said hazelnut. Martin also said apples, I think, too. And then, Brian said pear.
Yep.
And
no, you guys are killing it on all
they're
these.
so good. I love this. This is like my favorite part of this whole thing. I say that.
Actually,
and then,
have you guys ever had your palate tested? Like Macaulay from Dark Arts, like has this like palate that like got a score that beat Nancy Fraley or some shit.
No. I work at a distillery and I was a cop before this. All I care about is making sure the barrels go out and people are happy. So
nice.
Yeah.
Well, no, you guys might have some savant, status.
They do, right? I think they might.
It's impressive.
They might.
Now, I would be really impressed if you guys can tell me what's going on with Sample C, because Sample C is kind of the curveball in this lineup. This was in this lineup. So we had a partnership with the Bourbon Junkies at the time, and they made a whole separate video on this one whiskey. Like they literally just did a whole video on it. And the owner of the distillery called me. He's like, "Did you guys do something?" I went like, "Why?" He's like, "There's thousands of people pouring onto our site and ordering this bottle." And I was like, "No, I don't think so." And then I found the video. I was like, "Oh, we did have something to do with it." And there was this kind of surge kind of came out of nowhere. But this was something that's different than anything that had been in our lineup up to this point, for sure. And it breaks the rules in some capacities.
Yeah.
We like rule breaking.
Yep.
So while we're kind of tasting on this, so do you have you have a background in sports and film production. So is there anything else other than what you've already spoken about that would like be things that you took from that experience and put into the formation of Blind Barrels? Do you think that there are skills that you took from that and brought to the table here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, anytime you make a film, you run the risk of making a really expensive home movie because it could just, and I know you've made some of those, Adrian. You've made some expensive home movies before. You're not going to, I'll give you my email later. You can send them all up. But you can just not get distribution. And so I'm the son
I just
of an
don't
inventor.
edit. See, Bobby, I just make a video and I post it. I don't edit.
I want it to look a little grainy. I want it to be a little
just
grainy, a little seedy.
let it fly.
But my dad had over 200 patents in his career as an independent inventor.
Wow.
And
Nice. That's
that
so
doesn't mean that
exciting.
he had 200 hits. He, it took him, 30, 40 years to become an overnight success. He really didn't have, I got a football scholarship to take the financial burden off my parents. And it wasn't really till I got to college and right after that, a lot of his stuff really hit. So he invented the bubble gun. You ever see the bubble gun where you screw the bubbles in, you pull the trigger?
Yeah.
That's my dad's invention. So that mechanism is still used, and 100,000 of those are sold at Disneylands across the world every day. But the reality is once your patent goes up, so you patent something and you get a utility or technical patent, or sometimes both of them, and that lasts 15 years. Well, it takes you 5 years just to sell it, another 2 years for it to come out. So then you really only make money on that in royalties or whatever it is for another 8 years. And then after that, anyone can use it, anyone can do it, and you don't make money from it. But then he got something called a trade dress, which is the hardest thing to get in intellectual property with. You ever been to a tailgate and you see those Weber barbecues, the portable cues?
Yeah.
They're the oval. That's my dad's barbecue with the tan top.
I still have that.
Oh, it cooks like
That's incredible.
It cooks like
I love that.
crazy. So by the flukiest of flukes, the shape of the object that they made to design it to just look cool, and it being the most optimal shape for inverted cooking, and became Weber's #1 barbecue the last 20 years. But I saw somebody that took risks all the time. And I also saw the mental anguish that came from that. There was a lot of awesome, oh my God, this thing may or may not happen. And then it doesn't happen. There was these big letdowns, but there were these, dark nights where, you have somebody that's not in therapy that probably should have been in therapy. And I was kind of an outlet for that. And instead of being deterred to become a risk taker, I was motivated. I think it became a normal for me. And so the joys of starting something, you guys started this podcast. There's a lot of joys of something that you guys create something, you're creating content, and you're on your 50th show, and your audience is getting bigger, and it's exciting, right? But then there's all these scary parts about it, especially when you guys first started, when you're like, is anyone going to listen? Are we going to grow? Are we going to fail? Are we going to be, is my mom going to be the only listener? There's all that, right? Like,
I don't even know if my mom listens, to be fair.
She did the first one to just support. Yeah, she supported you on the first episode, right?
Yeah.
But that there's the fears and the anxieties, I think, that are often overlooked. I think the idea of taking risks and starting something sounds really fun, and we can all sit around and get drunk or smoke a joint and be like, talk about all these things we're gonna do, and and we'll be like the old porn star in Boogie Nights. Oh my God, say I'm your mom, and you're my mom, and we're doing drugs, and we're talking about things. It's awesome. It's gonna be amazing, and we can all get high on our own supply and talk about things. But a lot of people are talkers, and they're not doers. And the doing
you're right. That's the whole reason I decided I got asked to be a host on this. And I had never done anything like this before in my life. And I knew a whole lot less about bourbon and whiskey and rye when I started than I do now. And I just thought, well, if it goes down in a ball of flames, then at least I could say I tried and
you owned it.
I gave it a shot. If it goes down in a blaze of glory, then it goes down. But I'm still here 50 episodes later.
Right.
I'm not rocking. Sometimes I wonder why, but I still get nervous. That was real.
Well, I had my now, Bobby, that scene in Boogie Nights with Juliana Moore and Heather Graham where they're all coked out, like too many things.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I know I made a bunch of drug references, but the reality is when you're drinking and you're out late night, you're doing anything, whatever, and you're with your friends, there is a lot of people like to talk about doing things. Yeah. And I have friends, and I like to challenge my friends, and I like to motivate them, and I push them. And if they start a restaurant, I'm going to show up, and I'm not going to ask for a discount. And I'm there to support all my entrepreneurial friends. And I've had failures, and it really hurts, and it's hard to get up from that, and to have that pilot that doesn't get picked up, or any of these failures that we all have different failures of different stages of our life and different magnitudes, right? But when you do something that's public, then there's a sting that you're just like, oh God, I don't want to have this very public failure. When I did the documentary, I did a Kickstarter, which Kickstarters suck. Like I raised $30,000, and I'm like, if I just if I just had all my Facebook friends put in $20, I'll have $50,000. You know, like whatever. I'm doing that math, and the reality is a lot of people are quietly rooting against you. And it's not
I would agree with that.
It's not that they have ill wishes. It's a human element. We all do it. We all hope this other person fails because we don't want their success to be an affirmation that I should have taken more risks.
Yep.
Yes.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, if they don't want you to succeed because they know there's things that they're too afraid to try. And if you succeed, that means they were still too afraid.
Yep. But then you have those friends that are always in your corner and they're empathetic and they're and there isn't any it's so pure. And I'm like, yeah, they're better humans than me for sure. You know, but
I'm always
the
rooting
parallel
people on, always. I'm always rooting people on, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter. I don't even care if we're going after the same thing. It just there's enough abundance in the world for us all to be there for everyone, for each other. It's just, it can be done.
Because I thought the other whiskey brands that were doing tastings, that were doing tasting kits, not like ours, that I gave them resources, I gave them advice, I gave them all these. They're technically competitors, right? So like it's dumb, but the reality is they're young entrepreneurs that have a fire, and I think that's fucking cool.
Yeah, hell yeah.
You know?
It is.
I just can't wait
100%.
to. I'm going to take advantage of Adrian and I's friend. So
you take advantage of Adrian.
Well, that's the worst time possible.
Can you be
You got
empathetic?
cut out at a really inopportune
How vulnerable is Adrian's parents? Now I need to know.
It's either that or I just said all you heard me say was something about ice. That would be the other thing you might have heard.
We got another home movie.
I think he was going to say, I'm going to take advantage of Adrian and I's friendship.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
I heard parents,
so
maybe I'm just a horrible person.
No. I just know Martin, and I knew what he was going to say.
All right, Sam.
I got
Adrian,
Joe's guesses on C.
Oh, I haven't even looked at. I haven't even looked at the chat.
Oh, I can tell you. I have mine written down if you want to know.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I said it was a rye. I said it was 4-year. I said it was 92 proof, and I think there's a finish on it, but I can't put my finger on what exactly.
You said rye. You said 92 proof, and you said what?
4-year.
So age actually doesn't matter on this one. This is a non-age statement, so whatever. Nobody needs to guess.
It's less than 4 years.
And you'll know why when I tell you everything about this.
Okay.
It's finished in something, I think, but I can't put my finger on what. So that's my.
Yeah, there's a reason for that for sure.
Yeah.
That's
what I got. I'm sorry I don't have notes, tasting notes.
No, you're fine.
I am sitting with two really. If I can't learn from these people, I can't learn from nobody though, right?
I'm learning.
Brian, are you ready, or do you want me to go?
Brian's turn to go first.
Rye. The proofs kind of throw me off.
It is weird. I agree.
I'm thinking it's like anywhere from like a mid 110 to going down to like a 105, in between that time or range, like a 105 to 110. I just can't narrow it down.
Okay.
And then you said age statement doesn't matter, but yeah, I think it's finished. The notes I have was buttered brown, browned butter, mint chocolate, thyme, sage for the nose, and then orange, nutmeg, and like a caramel molasses off the taste.
Yes. Nice.
Martine.
And then I'm going to say this reminds me of Revelton whiskey out of Iowa. So I'm going to say this is out of Iowa.
Okay.
Well, again, I'm going to agree. It's 100% rye. Definitely. And it's 100% rye. This isn't like a high rye. This is 100% rye. I put 4 to 5 years. Again, I'll commit to 5. 110 proof. I feel like it was spicier than the last one.
Really?
A little bit.
I guess. Yeah, definitely. I felt like it was at least 110 proof. I agree. I don't know where in the where, but again, I put Midwest question mark.
You guys are all pretty damn good with regions, and most of the time when I've done anything like this for group settings.
Yeah,
sorry, you cut out a little bit.
We just means we drink a lot.
Yeah. No, but to get the regional grain is Sorry, go ahead, Barn.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say you start to pick up on like the little things,
the nuances.
Give me your notes
the
again because you cut out.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So I got yeast, minty, oily, waxy, toffee, syrup, banana, mango, lemon.
Ooh, banana, mango, lemon. That's a good fucking note.
I really want to mix that up and make a pie now.
There was
a key lime pie.
It reminds me of
Oh, you remind me of
how your mouth just stays frozen in that direction.
It's never been this glitchy before. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's just we have a really bad wind storm or wind thing happening right now. I think that just might be messing my internet up.
Joe did pretty good too. Joe also guessed a rye. He said 100 proof. He guessed Iowa as well, technically, because he said Cedar Ridge bottled and bond rye was his guess.
Yeah.
Cedar Ridge has been in our lineup. We did their quintessential in our December of 2023. So it was later. It was the release after this that came out. So this is out of Iowa.
Oh yeah.
And this is a brand called Iowa Legendary.
Oh, okay.
And so Iowa Legendary, there's a black label, there's a red label, and those are like, $50, $60, $70 bottles. And then there's a purple label, which is like a $250 bottle. And then he did a release of a gold label that is a blend of all three.
Got it.
And so this is Iowa Legendary. And so what's interesting about this is technically, we don't think anywhere it says whiskey anywhere on the bottle because we don't think it falls under the rules for actually being whiskey. And I think, Adrian, you picked up on this idea that there's this finish there because there's an ingredient in here that isn't normally in whiskey. And this is 100% rye. This is actually 100% bread rye. Because this is a true prohibition recipe. This is what Al Capone drank because the grandmother of this owner, so Heath Schneider, his grandmother, Lorraine Sextro, she was the most well-known female bootlegger during Prohibition, and the farm would stop at the back of the train would stop at the back of their farm in Iowa, and this was supposedly Capone's favorite whiskey. So Templeton stole this story essentially, and then we later found out Templeton was just sourcing from MGP, and it was all a lie. So this only has 4 ingredients in it. It has yeast, it has water, it has bread rye, and it has sugar cane.
That's it.
And that's what that funkiness is. There's a sugar cane. And that once you put sugar in it, technically it's not whiskey. So we're on the fence about, whether we wanted to put in there.
Go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's what I think you thinking that finish.
So
there.
fun fact. I work for a distillery by the name of Edwin Co Spirits, and we make I don't make it. My master distiller makes it. It's called Old Co, and he makes it with raw sugar cane, but it's not predominantly rye. On this particular mash bill, he does do a rye Old Co, but it's a Prohibition era style whiskey. Typically, when it has sugar cane, I think that's kind of what they say that it is. But yeah, that's exactly So where I work, bartending is, it has raw sugar cane in it. So, but we label it.
Yep.
We label it. Yeah, and we label it as Indiana Sour Mash whiskey.
And we love Casey Jones. They were sample C in the December 2023 lineup. And I told AJ and Peg, I'm like, I don't know why you're selling this bottle for $50 because this is a fucking $70 bottle all day. I'm just saying, like,
which one? Well. Which one?
We got their white label single barrel, and it was like 110 proof. It was, it's a 3.5-year-old bourbon, but honestly, it tastes like 6 or 7. It's one of my favorite whiskeys that I always have in my house.
They had a barrel cut that we tried that was phenomenal. Yeah.
All their stuff. They sent. We tried like 12 things, and we loved everything that they sent us. And yeah, we tried to get them in the lineup for like 2.5 years, and we were super stoked to have them in. So the notes you guys had. So the aroma notes we have: maple donut, Werther's Original, deep mint. You picked up on the mint, thyme, turbinado sugar. So my guy gets specific with that. Aromatic bitters and buttered bread. Tasty notes, rounded and rich texture, melted caramel, cinnamon, orange studded with nutmeg, deep oak presence, and baked oats. And the finish is slightly drying, but leather and black pepper that round it out.
Okay.
But yeah, this is what they drank in Prohibition. This is literally, a Prohibition recipe. This guy, he had all these 26-gallon stills that were buried around the property. that he dug up, and a bunch of 15-gallon barrels. So everything's done in 15-gallon barrels. Everything's done in 26-gallon stills, because his grandmother said you can't run with a 55-gallon barrel. You can run with a 15-gallon barrel. So, but she was a gangster, and he has a bunch of 26-gallon stills. He makes it exactly the way his grandmother made it, and he stays true to it. And
that's exactly the story that Edwin Coe has. I mean, a very similar one. So that's what makes that type of whiskey, to me, is what makes it so cool and so special, is because it's got stories like your grandma said, you can't run with a 53-gallon barrel. You can run with a 15-gallon barrel,
Yeah, and the nose is funky on it, and it was, and this was a bottle that people went nuts for. People ordered the hell out of this bottle.
It's very good. I mean, it's very good.
I think when you put sugar in it, people just like sugar. I think that's part of it too.
No, that's not an addictive chemical. Thing. That.
We had Vermont Distilling. They make a maple infused, and it's the only time we've done a flavored whiskey. And it's 5% maple infusion. It's really subtle. It doesn't taste like a flavored whiskey.
Okay.
God damn, everybody in a blind, it just destroys. It just blows everybody's doors off.
What was the proof on it?
Sweet.
Was it like low or high?
No, I think it's like 92, 96 proof.
Okay, perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a easy. I think it's a 92 proof, and
sometimes when people do flavors like that, they're lower proof. That's why I asked.
Well, we were worried that they'll do like an 80 proof, whatever, and then when they do flavored, but that was the thing. Technically, categorically, it's a flavored whiskey, but we just didn't look at it that way. And we were worried that some of the bourbon snobs in our group were going to turn their nose up at it and talk shit on it. And no, everybody ordered a bottle of that, and they still do, which is awesome. That's the coolest thing. I'd say that's the cross-pollination, like making the documentary and get to support college athletes is very similar to where we get to kind of, once again, we're shining a spotlight on the underdog a little bit, that we think really deserve the spotlight. There's so many great craft brands out there.
Oh, 100%. You have statistics show that there's over 100 to 200 opening every 3 to 4 months.
Wow.
On average. So, there's 2,500 open last year alone.
Really? 2,500 opened last year?
Just open. Never said they stayed open, but they opened. So,
because you can get a still on Amazon for like $75. They have one of those little.
No kidding.
Look at me, I'm making whiskey. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do that and make yourself turn your garage into a whiskey company, I guess, if your city or state allows it.
It's possible. I know people who make beer at home. So,
Yeah, thanks, Billy Carter. You open up the door for all this craft.
Exactly.
That's President Carter's brother. I don't know, before your time, Adrian. Maybe not. I don't know.
I'm not
I don't know,
the youngest one here, believe it or not. I'm almost the oldest.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Here.
Like, oh, you are? Oh,
yeah,
I'm
the
out of this group, depending on how old you are.
I got a little pepper. I got a little sparkles. I
bet I'm older. I bet.
Yeah, no, I'll be 46 later this year.
I'm 45. I'm 45 too.
Well, there you go.
I just turned 45, so you might be a smidge older than me.
I'm smidgen. I got you by a touch.
Yeah.
So, Martin, I know you have one fun question, like we always want to ask.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm over here I'm just like
getting notes.
I'm not deep into it, man.
I know. I'm on D. I'm trying to make
you're on what?
You're on that D.
You're on what you say?
Said it, and I was like, oh, I should have said that.
You should not in this group. Not in this group.
No.
Dang.
But yeah, so we do get nerdy. Obviously, we ask a lot of whiskey-centric questions. But we weren't always the original hosts of Bourbon with Friends. We actually were asked to do this, and on our first kind of brainstorming session.
Oh, he's leaving. Tune in next week. Well, to find out on the same bat channel.
Yeah, my internet. Yeah, my internet's going. I'll just do this, scroll. I won't even do my lead up. You don't get to hear a random. You don't get to hear a random story.
Wait, no, I want to hear the random question. What was there was a whole thing that.
Yeah, I'm going in and out. Yeah.
We'll put it in the chat.
You can't type that quick.
Yeah, he makes it. He kind of it's kind of hard.
He said you weren't the first host, And what? So you mean in terms?
No,
of
we weren't. We were not the first hosts, and we got asked to do this. And like at the beginning of this whole thing, I was.
I mean, I knew who the old ones were, right?
Yeah.
And they kept changing like the third host out. So
Yeah,
I knew those guys, and then the different girl that they kept adding. Are you talking about them as the previous host, or did the
Paul and Connor? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. You can say their names.
Yeah, we know.
Okay.
We know.
No, that's not it. Oh, speak.
It's not like Voldemort.
Show.
So It's not like Voldemort. Yeah. So I'm sitting. We're trying to record this podcast, and there's a squirrel that's like trying to break into my house, and so the squirrel question was born. That's a horrible lead up because Martin does a way better job,
But is that the actual true story?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay,
I don't even know. I don't even know what the true story is anymore.
What's the squirreliest squirrel that's ever come into my house?
Well,
I don't even know how it
so-
started. I was complaining about squirrels. I have a lot of squirrels. I live in a very urban area, but there's a lot of squirrels, and it's horrible to say, but I want them to go away. And they kind of, the squirrel question was born from that. So we have a squirrel question for you, sir.
So Bobby, this is kind of the fun time where we give you something that could throw you off, but knowing your personality and knowing who you are, this won't throw you off whatsoever. If a squirrel did a blind sampling, which would he choose out of these from this pack, and would he chew on it?
It's 100% going to be D for a very specific region that you guys will pick up on, and that's because squirrels like the D.
Squirrels love D.
Same with Adrian.
Yep, squirrels and Adrian.
Especially when it's right out of the bunghole. I'm sorry if we're gonna just go with whiskey,
legit term.
Dad jokes. You know what I mean?
It's
Let me go get my
okay.
stud finder while I'm in.
This is what we do here. It's fun. I knew when you first got on here, I was like, this guy is gonna be fun.
And I do think sample D is a little bit chewy.
It is.
I like chewy whiskey.
There's definitely a smack ability to it for sure. So it's funny that you asked that question because sample D is, I think, all those things, and I think there's a nuttiness to it too.
100%. Kind of like pipe tobacco, almond. What is that? What do you get from the stadium? The candied almonds or pecans
Syphilis.
or
Yeah.
the other stuff that you don't.
You're going to the wrong games. You're going to the wrong stadium.
What are you sitting on?
Stadiums you're talking about.
Cracker Jack.
You ain't been to a USC game, obviously.
I have, and that's what scares me.
Sounds like maybe I don't need to go to one.
No. You don't. Bring a little penicillin.
I've never been to California, period. I need
Penicillin,
to
the
go
drink,
out there.
or are we talking about penicillin or like the penicillin?
What?
I think I know what
I don't know
this is.
So there's
is there a
penicillin.
drink where you have the shot and you pour the shot in and there's like an actual shot?
No, there's. Well, I mean, yeah, I guess that's one.
I've seen the gimmicky.
Yeah, no, but there's an actual drink called a penicillin.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, mixed
What is
drink.
it? Is it like a gin?
Oh, Googling it.
Yeah, Adrian, do the Google thing, because I'm not looking that up. But I know I've had it before.
There's a cocktail. Watch. Wait, hold on. Hold, please.
All right, do we want to go through guesses on this one?
I'm going to.
Oh, it's a scotch.
Yeah.
Lemon juice, honey ginger syrup. It calls for also an Isla single malt scotch. And
That'll
candy
cure the
nice.
scurvy.
Yeah, that'll exactly. Got dysentery? Not anymore.
Not anymore.
But Ryan, you don't have dysentery. Exactly.
That's what fucked me up on the Oregon Trail all the time. Dysentery and cholera.
And the snake bite. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, the snake bite that would get you. Yeah, and Indians.
I have a card game of Oregon Trail, and that's what you die of: dysentery.
You always get dysentery.
Cholera,
it's guaranteed. No one
bite.
ever made it to Oregon.
Or you drown in the river. Those are your options.
It's almost the same thing.
You spend the whole game shooting, for food and trying to keep track of your ammo. But I don't know why that was a game that we learned in school.
I know. Like what did it teach
It
us?
was survival. We learned about
Nothing.
survival with the
Not-
Oregon Trail.
And
Yeah.
death.
About
A lot of
Stever.
death.
Death and just how bad it was to
All
head
right.
out west.
Yep.
Let me
I'm
give my
really
guess.
kind
Let
of
me give my
like
guesses
stumped on
while
this one.
Yeah, go ahead, Martin.
you guys can actually hear me. Because I actually think I know this one.
I do too.
Okay. I have
so,
no clue.
Because I drank a lot of this when I was in Colorado. I actually there's a reason too. So it's bourbon, but it's a blended for sure. I don't know the proof of this whiskey actually, so I just guessed. I think it's 115. I don't know for sure. But the original one was also there's like a I think there's also like a cask strength and a non, but like Colorado, and I want to say it's Mythology because it tastes exactly like one of the Mythology ones. I can't remember the name of it, but it has a dog on it.
I thought that was sourced. Is it not?
It is sourced, but it's a blend.
Is sourced, yeah.
Yeah, but they do some
Okay.
cool stuff with it. Mythologies are really, and they just built a brand new distillery.
Yes, they
I've
did.
wanted to try some of
Steamboat.
those.
Yeah, it's Steamboat. Yeah, because their old one was pretty small when I went up there. But like I used to drink this so much. I'm really big fan of Mythology. I like what they're doing for
I've not
blending
had
up
any
there.
of their stuff.
Yeah, but it's a very dog centric bottle, and that's why I liked it so much because I'm a huge dog lover. So I put minty, soil, dill, almond, chocolate, licorice, raisin, fig, tobacco, sour, honey, ginger is what I put for notes.
Nice.
But pretty sure this is Mythology. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what this is.
I actually wrote down the same thing. I put bourbon 120 blended Kentucky, but blended whiskey all together, and then I put Colorado Mythology on it.
Yeah,
and then
100%.
Notes I did like honey mixture. It was like cornbread and honey mixture together. A weird herbal tea, but it was an herbal tea. I couldn't pull it off.
Oolong.
Yeah,
Oolong tea.
It was something really interesting.
Who's short?
The candied
Okay.
pecans or candied almonds, and then tobacco. It was I had a really strong tobacco note for me.
Definitely tobacco. Yeah, definitely.
Because
Yeah,
that's
it's
what
crazy.
Mythology usually has for me is a really strong tobacco and that almonds or pecan note.
Well, Brian, when I first met Brian, and I was still in Colorado at the time, I used to sit on my patio, and this reminds me of sitting on my patio in Colorado because I drank so much of this bottle.
Yep.
And they had a store.
They know what it is.
Yeah, Mythology.
They're saying they know what it is.
I'm almost certain this isn't it. Then okay, but like I'm almost certain.
I just guessed that it was a 4-year. 4-year, a 110 proof. I was probably gonna. I don't I don't know what I was gonna say. I probably would have said ASM because I don't love this. But what these guys typically like, I'm usually the opposite. I'm usually the polar opposite. So,
maybe you don't
which
like
is probably
bourbon.
it's probably a good thing that we're all different here. But yeah, I probably was gonna say ASM, so I don't get a point on that because I feel like I would only be changing my answer because of what they said. So
one, you know, I would say if I have 20 people in a room and we go through a lineup, there's going to be 3 people that love A as their favorite, and same will be true for B, C, and D. And there will be one person out of the 20 that hates A, and the same will be true for B, C, and D. There's just no one's palates are the same. It's part of the problem with, you know, how do we make decisions on whiskey? Either a friend tells us they like it. Well, they may like stuff that you don't like. It's how cool the bottle looks or the price, right? Or you're following, you know, like a Fred Minnick or an authority or somebody that maybe you trust. But once again, palates are a little bit different. And I will say the last year of lineups we've had, I feel like it's been really hard to be critical of pretty much like 3 or almost all 4 of them. It's like the lineups ever since we did a partnership with Fred Minnick, we've just he's become a good friend, but it gave us a certain amount of juice and clout to now when we call distilleries that we've chased for years, they call us back. Or ones that we literally chased are reaching out to us. And I'm like, we like emailed you and called you like 10 times. And they're like, we don't have a record of that. How do we be in the lineup? And I was like, we can talk about it.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn it. Well, we would gladly have whoever. Yeah, like our March lineup right now is just everything in there is crushes. So it's like we haven't had anyone actually say that. Somebody said they didn't like this one weeded bourbon that I tried forever to get in the lineup. And this one person that's super critical about certain things, they were critical. I'm like, that's my jam. I'm sorry. I'm loving that. You can hate that.
Yeah. I can imagine that's really difficult to like pick things that are going to appease the masses, right?
Yeah.
I never will say that I don't think a whiskey is good, because I have absolutely loved getting to try all the different things, and it has expanded my palate broadly. And I have learned to appreciate so much more because of that. There's a Scotch that I actually would like to have a bottle of, which I think you guys should be proud of me. I should get a round of applause for that, because I don't love single malts at all.
Can you put that in the clip?
Yeah, right.
What was the
It's
Scotch?
the 10-year, the Glengoyne 10-year. I would love to have a bottle of that. If I see one on the shelf, I'm going to buy it. But anyway, just to your point, you can't. I very much love double oak. I very much love rye, and maybe a little bit higher proof, a nice chewy whiskey. I don't love a lot of wheated. Don't love high corn or malt. So I don't love it doesn't mean I don't like it,
Yeah.
But if I'm going to pick something off the shelf, it's probably going to have a higher rye content.
You know what you might love? Have you ever had Mammoth?
No.
So they're at Traverse City, and they source Canadian Alberta rye, really well aged Canadian rye, and they do things to it. And so we had a barrel pick from them and the funny thing is like, I know Alberta rye, like I can pull that out, and whatever they're doing to it, and they're doing some of their own whiskey too, it's got such a unique flavor profile. And
is it finished?
They aged. So for us, they aged it. They matured it in a Weller barrel for 15 years. And
Wow.
And if I had 1,000 of those bottles tomorrow, I could sell. In fact, somebody selling it on secondary for $600, like, because it was just this. It was the barrel pick. We only had so much of it, and I have 2 bottles. I want to drink them with my kids one day, and we'll have that. But yeah, if you ever get a chance to, if you love rye, obviously Midwest Pumpernickel rye, MB Roland. I mean, we love a killer rye. I'm a rye.
I do have the Midwest Pumpernickel rye over there on the shelf. I do have that one.
It crushes.
One that we just interviewed a gal. Her name was John with New Dawn Distilling, and her whiskey comes from Alden Distillery in New York City, or not New York City, but New York State. And that was really, really phenomenal whiskey. But anyway,
that Midwest Pumpernickel rye. Someone's ever at my house, and they're like, "Do you have a bourbon?" And I'm like, "You only bourbon?" And they're like, "I only drink bourbon." And I always pour them that Midwest Pumpernickel rye, because you can steer somebody that thinks they only drink bourbon and they go, "This is an amazing bourbon." I'm like, "It's a fucking rye. It's a pumpernickel rye."
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yes. So and I love being able to do that to people too. It's a fun little party trick. Like, look, this is a rye.
So how did we do at this last one, Bobby?
Well, you guys are neck and neck with this, because yes, this is 100% mythology. And Martin, you're right. This is the one with the dog on it. It's just man's best friend. So
man's best friend. There it is. There it is.
It's just the cast strength.
Always forget the
cast strength. Man's best friend, and the man's best friend is actually fairly well distributed. The cast strength is not well distributed, and so it's a little harder to get your hands on. And it's a blend of a 3, 5, and of a 5, 13, and 15 year.
Because I had originally.
Do you have a board of directors? I think we have 2 gentlemen that could be on your board. Okay.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. You should have a bourbon with friends pick bourbon barrel thing. Anyway,
I think I'm strongly considering adding them to the Whiskey Wizards, because
they are so good at it. They're so good at it.
Well, the thing is, like, on nose, I wrote down 44 because I was pretty sure that's what the normal the standard bottle is at. But then I was like, then I got the palate, and I'm like, whoa, no, this is the cast strength. And I only think I had the cast strength a couple times, but I'm like, this is 100% still that profile, 100% no way. Like, there's just like, I was not like it literally it transports me back to sitting on like a patio in Colorado. Like, it's just like
blown away.
Yeah,
I just had a pour of this.
Blown away.
I just had a pour of this yesterday. So
yeah, exactly,
I have the cast strength at my house right now.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's insane.
Well, Scott Yeats, he moved to Steamboat Springs, and they got they got soup dumplings there, and it's a whole thing. And
yeah, it looks cool. I want to go there.
You know, he's a good buddy, and it was funny. I was at a party where some of the people that were members were there with the kids, and one of the dudes was like, "This tastes familiar," and I'm like, "No," and he's bad with whiskey, and yeah, his roommate was Scott Yeats in college, so it was this like weird kind of worlds colliding. Before my phone dies, I'll get to the notes. Peanut brittle on the aroma, light herbs, cornbread with wildflower, layers of caramel, candied almonds, oak, toasted grains, strawberry frosting, cherry, pipe tobacco, peanut dust, and a creme brulee finish.
Nice.
But yeah, it's 118 proof, and it's a blend of well-aged and some younger bourbon, so 5, 13, 15 year. And yeah, I mean the mythology. It's you always need to kind of have one in there because we do have the bourbon chasers in the lineup. So our current March lineup is called Heat. So this was the Untouchables, and it was really kind of just because we got that pre-prohibition in there. So we were kind of like, we always do this kind of pop culture reference. But our current lineup Heat is a partnership with Randy Sullivan from Bourbon Real Talk.
Okay.
So he really, and I said, hey, if we're going to sync up in a lineup, it's got to be craft and it's got to be all these things. And he mentioned one that was already going to be in the March lineup, and I was like, do you want to just do the March lineup? He's like, sure. And so, and then he got to see all the stuff behind the scenes. It's not easy to just say, hey, we want you in the lineup, and then boom, it happens. There's a lot of steps, there's a lot of processes, and there's people that are just distillers or people that own, small, blue collar type, business like distilleries that, not everybody's super reliable. Some people are on it and they do all the stuff. And then sometimes you get a distributor that just can screw everything up, because the full bottles, right? So we have a bottle right now that we've sold over 100, and this big distributor just took the order and didn't deliver any of the bottles for a month. And they finally delivered the bottles, and they're not our SKU. And
I think I know which distributor you're talking about, but we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, we'll talk about that offline. And it's not the first time that they've screwed us, but it sucked because it's like I got to deal with all the customer service fallout from that. And it's just great. That becomes the bane of my existence.
No. So, Bobby, at the end of this, we always ask one of our favorite questions. I'm going to have Adrian get into it after I'm done with this little spiel, but this is our favorite question from all of us here at Bourbon with Friends. I can say this now, over the past year, and you will be the final entry into the book that will be coming out sometime in the summer or fall. Hopefully you agreed to it, because it's just your story and we want to make sure you allow it to go into this book, but it's everybody's favorite whiskey memory across the board from everybody we interviewed in the last year. So you're going to give a rundown of the company and a favorite whiskey memory on them on each one of the pages. So.
Wow. My favorite whiskey memory is a new one. And if you go under you might have seen this video, because it's funny, you try to create content, you try to create viral stuff. And when you try really hard, you just don't do it. And, I already kind of talked to my dad. My dad's definitely one of my heroes, if not my hero. And a couple of days after Christmas, we do Christmas with our family, our immediate family. And then you do all the other Christmases. And I think it was December 27th. And my dad, has gotten into whiskey since I started this company, and he is a guy that sources some pre-prohibition whiskey. And he got a bottle of Old Overholt from 1915.
Nice.
And the thing about when you open old whiskey, usually there's a lot of air. It's not stored properly. Honestly, I've had it a few times and it's never really been impressive. No. But if it's done right, it's a time capsule, and you're literally tasting what they tasted 110 years ago. And my dad, being my dad, he's dressed like Santa, and right off the bat,
I saw this video.
Yeah,
I saw this video.
He's like, what are we gonna do?
My God, I loved it.
Yeah, it's funny. It checks all the boxes. It took me 30 seconds. I edited this video. I didn't even put any music to it. I did like the lazy cut where I fast forwarded, I did like a fast speed instead of a jump cut. I did all these lazy edits too. And right off the bat, he's like, what are we gonna do? Wait till I'm dead? We're fucking drinking it now. And he's dressed as Santa. Good. He looks like Santa, and he goes to take the cork off, and it explodes. it explodes in his hand, and we got a cork, and we got it out, and we poured it, and we, it was, I think it's a 200 ml. I don't know, but I'm like, sorry, are we gonna put it away? And he goes, yeah, we're putting it away into our fucking glasses, and we did. And then at the end, he toasted to health and to family and to love. So he ended on a nice button. And in 3 days, my dad had 1 million views across the platforms. Like he went,
it was
he had
such a great
50,000
video.
shares on Instagram. I mean, I'm like, Dad, and now my dad thinks it's like easy to go viral. He didn't even know I was filming. And I'm like, Dad, it's not fucking easy,
Yeah.
He's like, just get me telling jokes. People will love it. I'm like, we'll do some of that. I'll test it out. I'll see if people want to get a little taste of Bad Santa again. But that's, I think, one of my new favorite memories for sure.
That's amazing.
And just getting to, I'm in this great space. I'll tell you, if you guys ever start a business or you're in a business, there's nothing better than working with people that you love and you care about. And we don't have conflicts and we don't have fights here because there's just so many good people that are in the Blind Barrels family. We definitely fight with distributors, and we fight with things that are out of our control, and we have battles and we have bones to pick for sure. But I'm really thankful that this is bourbon with friends, right? And we firmly believe great whiskey is meant to be shared, and it's meant to be communal, and it's meant to have moments and memories, and I get to do it all the time with my friends in this company.
That's awesome, man.
Same.
See, that's why we asked this question, because there's been so many those moments, man. And like, I don't know, it's like, to me, that's what you sit around and talk about, is that one last question for everybody in the room. Actually, not you, Bobby, because you already know, but like, what out of these was your favorite?
I'm going number 3, without a shadow of a doubt. C.
Yeah, C for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. That right.
You guys are going with that Iowa Legendary?
Yeah, I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It's such a sleeper.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's
very
good.
I'd buy a bottle of that for sure. I'd buy a bottle of that, and then the first one. I forgot you said that was the one from
if I had to pick a second, it would be C and A. Yeah.
Chambers Bay.
Chambers Bay. There you go. Yeah, those two are my favorite. Yep. For sure.
Yeah, that Iowa Legendary. Yeah, Heath would be a good guest for you guys to have on. If you guys would have him on, I could definitely he could tell you all the really cool stories, and he's good on the mic, and he's got a lot of really good stories, but fun guy.
Awesome.
It's just that
we got some projects with him kind of in the works separate. But there's nothing better than when you meet great people and they have a great story and they're backing up the great whiskey. The worst, though, and this happens, I have to deal with it all the time. I meet great people and I don't like their whiskey.
Yeah.
It's like, and I've since created a buffer where I'm like, my whiskey wizards, my spirit scouts are going to decide. And so there's no blood on my hands, but yeah, behind the scenes, I'm definitely obviously playing a hand.
Of course. You have to. I mean, you do. You have to pick and select. There's so much out there. You can't put everything out, and you also have to make sure that it's, and you can back it up. You know what I mean? A little bit. So yeah.
It's curated, and look, we're open to criticism, and I'd say that so for instance, this lineup that you guys are doing, you'll get somebody that only wants to drink Weller Full Proof, and they're not going to gravitate towards the nuances of a Chambers Bay and the story behind it. They're not going to. They just want that same thing, and it's like, if you want to go have the same thing, I'll say we're not for everybody at all. But we do think the gamification. We have a ton of couples that do this. It's so cool. When we do our lives, we do live tastings twice every quarter, and we have anywhere from 80 to 140 people on a live, and pretty much 80% of the people that we're doing the live with, it's a group of friends, it's a brother, sister, it's a couple, it's a dad and a son, it's all the things that we want out of the whiskey community, and what it does is it brings people together. That's what your podcast is about, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well,
we'll have to jump back on, Brian, and talk about some behind the scenes stuff. So pick a time. I got some time this Friday if you want to jump on a call.
That'll work.
Nice. There you go.
Right,
it's that easy, folks. That's how you end up in the lineup.
That's how it is.
You just saw it firsthand. Look at that.
So, Bobby, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on here with us today. This was a phenomenal experience. We had a great time trying all these out. You got to see how incredibly impeccable the palates are of my friends here.
They're great too, Adrian. You were really close. Somebody did win, just so you know. And it was damn close between Brian and Martin. It really was, but Brian, I think the only thing that you actually got wrong was your proof was a little bit off, but not much. Like, you gave a range that had it. You said 120 when it was 118, and you said 4.5 when it was 5. So other than that, the only thing I think that made you not win or be tied, Martin, was the first one you were off on the proof. And
the proof. I know.
Barely. But I mean, fuck, like this is like Tyson Muhammad Ali shit. This is like
they're the shit. They are.
Yeah.
I mean, I have the utmost respect. Let me tell you.
Yeah, definitely the most impressed I've
ever. This is my page.
I love it. I love that.
Like a Rorschach
mine looks
test.
a little bit like that. Yeah, mine looks a little bit like that.
Who's this Rorschach guy? Why does he keep showing me pictures of my parents fighting?
I didn't learn how to write in Arabic just in one podcast.
Oh my god.
All right, well, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate you having me on the show,
man.
and I wish you the best of luck. And you have my blessing on the book.
No, I
appreciate it. Thank you so much. And everybody, wherever you are in the world, remember, a bourbon with friends can change the world.
Cheers, y'all.
Cheers, everybody.
That's it for this episode of Bourbon with Friends. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a review to make it easier for others to find the show. You can also check us out on Instagram at BWF Podcast. Thanks for listening.